Hey there everybody, I hope you're doing really well, and today I want to talk about two more of my best retro gaming bargains that I have found in the time that I have been living in Japan, which is now almost 5 years. So without further ado, I want to talk about two PC Engine games, one of which was one of the best finds I've ever had, and an extremely lucky story to go with it. As a quick aside, one of the real pleasures of getting back into retro gaming in the last 7 to 8 years has been being able to explore systems that I had no chance to explore back when I was a kid or in my teenage years. One such system being the PC Engine. I remember going over to one of my really good friends' house, Tim's, about 7 years ago, and he had a PC Engine set up there with blazing lasers, or gunhead as it was called in Japan. And I was amazed at the slickness of the gameplay, the speed of the graphics and how good it all looked, as well as the pumping soundtrack. And it's a brilliant game to boot as well. And I was just so struck at all of the games that we played that day, whether it was Rainbow Islands or New Adventure Island and so on and so forth. And I thought, I would love to get hold of a PC Engine. And he said that it might be possible through his good friend Gary that they could source one for me. And they came through, and I was able to purchase this very PC Engine. And when I moved to Japan 5 years ago, I actually brought this with me, so in a way I brought it back home. But today I want to talk about two games, starting with Outrun. I don't think Outrun needs much of an introduction. It's a classic Sega arcade that sees you racing across America, choosing your path and therefore difficulty, cannonball style, to make it to the goal. It is just such an iconic game of the era. The graphics and particularly the soundtrack really epitomise gaming in the arcades in the 80s. And of course, there were so many ports to home systems, and I think of the 8 and 16-bit systems, the PC Engine possibly got the best. It was certainly better than the Amiga version, that's for sure. And I'd really recommend that you play this version if you can. Certainly the Sega Saturn port definitely pips it, but there's no doubt that NEC Avenue did a really amazing job at porting this game, so I really wanted to find a boxed copy for myself. Now, it's not an overly difficult game to find in Japan. I was seeing copies of this in my very first week in Japan in Akihabara, where shops were selling it box complete for around about 6,000 to 7,000 yen. But one of my strengths is that due to my budget, I persist in trying to find the very best price possible. And so when I moved to Mie Prefecture about 2 years ago, I was really keen to investigate the local second-hand stores. And where I actually live in Mie is very close to Nara Prefecture, and over there are many independent second-hand stores, branches of Hard Off, and also Book Off. And it was in one of those Book Offs that I found this particular copy. I picked up a really nice copy of Magical Drop for the Super Famicom, and as I was leaving to pay for that game, I saw they had a very small selection of PC Engine games on the shelf, and I could see from the spine that they had Outrun. And so I pulled it off the shelf and I thought, wow, 2,700 yen plus tax. In this condition, it was one of the very best bargains that I've ever found. It's in really nice condition. I wouldn't describe it as mint, but it is certainly way up there. The Hue card is in gorgeous condition. The game obviously plays perfectly. I couldn't be happier with it. And I thought, well, not much can top that, because PC Engine games, even in Japan, can be quite expensive. So I was really truly happy with that. But a bargain that I found in Niigata City last summer, pipped this one to the post well and truly. This is Saigo no Nindou, or Ninja Spirits as you may know it. Now, I played this game on the Amiga, one of the ports that it got many years ago when I was growing up. You know, we're talking 30 or so years ago now. And I came away thinking like, well, that game kind of stinks. And it just turns out, as is often the case, it was just a bad port. And the PC Engine definitely has the very best port of the arcade. In fact, I would say it's better than the arcade because it includes a PC Engine mode which allows you to take 5 hits before you actually lose a life. And it's one of those games which you can see off in about 45 to 60 minutes across its 7 stages. It is just full on action and it is just so much fun to play. So if you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. But it was in Niigata, really hot. I don't know if you know, but Japanese summers are just so humid. We're talking 35, 36 degrees C plus humidity. It's hard going. And so I needed to take a rest from my sightseeing, and I ducked into a branch of Tsurugai that was near the station there. And I picked up a couple of Game Boy games, and I thought, well, it's really nice in here. The pricing is pretty good, pretty standard Tsurugai prices, but really, I think I'm done. And then as I was walking to the checkout, I saw they had a really nice range of PC Engine games lined up on the shelves, and I thought, well, it doesn't hurt to have a look. Even though I don't really buy PC Engine games due to the relative expense of them, in fact this is pretty much my entire box PC Engine collection, I thought, let's take a look. And what stood out to me was IREM written on the spine there. Now, I'm sure I've probably seen IREM written on the spine of the HuCard case before, but on this particular occasion, that stood out to me and I thought, oh, what's that IREM game? IREM games on the PC Engine are generally pretty good. Oh, it's Saigo no Nindou, or Ninja Spirits. So I pulled it off the shelf and I thought, oh, it's a really nice, good condition box copy. That's a pretty good price. Okay, I'll buy it. I decided to treat myself. It was at a price where I was just like, yeah, okay, that's pretty good. And duly, I paid for the Game Boy games and this and walked away. Didn't think much more about it until the evening when I got back to my minivan, which I was staying in as I travelled around that part of Japan on my road trip. And curiosity got the better of me. So I looked it up on Mercari and also Yahoo auctions, and I was shocked because the prices being paid for this were around about 12,000 yen plus, maybe 16,000 yen for good condition copies. And indeed, Tsurugai's main branch, the HQ in Shizuoka, even to this day is charging 16,000 yen complete in box this game. And it got me thinking, like, how come I just bought this game for what I paid for it? So, what did I pay for it? I paid 2,200 yen including tax. So how come this copy was so much cheaper? Well, I looked a bit closer at the label that evening and I saw the answer right there. Game Setsunomi, which is shorthand for saying that this was priced as being the instruction manual for this game only. So no game, no box, just the instruction manual. So I picked up essentially a really cheap bargain because it had been priced wrong. So I feel a little bit sorry for the person who sold this game because they would have only received the value that Tsurugai was willing to pay for the instruction manual only. So that's a little bit of a shame. But I guess a small silver lining is the fact that Tsurugai themselves cheated themselves because they never received the full value for what this item was either, because obviously I came along about a week later after it was sold, because I can see this was traded in on July 13th, 2024, so I was there about a week later. And I was the real true benefactor because obviously I got the game for way under its actual market value. So I guess there's a small little silver lining there that Tsurugai themselves didn't get the full value of the game. But for me to pick this up for 2,200 yen was really an amazing bargain, and one that it was just a stroke of luck. It was purely seeing IRM on the spine that just got my curiosity, that made me look a bit closer. And that's how I got Ninja Spirits for, well, a fraction of its market value. Anyway, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. I'd love to hear about your PC Engine or TurboGrafx 16 gaming bargains, and I'd also love to hear about what some of your favourite games for this system are, because I really truly believe that this punches way above its weight, and it'd be really great to converse with you in the comments below to find out what you enjoy playing on the system, because you may know about a game that I've yet to play, and I would love to share with you some of the things that I enjoy playing as well. Anyway, that's about it for this one. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I'll catch you soon in another one of these. Take care, bye bye.